In your court, what matters more, the rights of individuals or your political ideology?
I apply the law to the facts.
I asked a question, which matters more?
Well, my political ideology doesn't matter at all.
Okay, so I don't believe you. And I think this case demonstrates that you are willing to subjugate the rights of individuals to satisfy your political ideology. This case involves a male defendant who raped a 9-year-old boy. Was he guilty of that?
Yes, the petitioner pled guilty to that.
Okay, so he raped a 9-year-old boy. He also raped a 17-year-old girl. Was he guilty of that?
He pled guilty, the petitioner pled guilty to that crime as well.
So was he guilty?
I hope so, because she pled guilty to it.
He was a he when he did this.
That's correct.
Hey there, fellow patriots. Welcome back to the channel where we stand up for truth, justice, and common sense in America. Today, we need to have a serious talk about a viral Senate hearing that should outrage every single parent, every single American, and every single person who believes in the safety and rights of women. We're talking about a bombshell exchange between Senator Ted Cruz and Judge Sarah Netburn, a Biden nominee, over her decision to move a 6'2" biologically male serial child rapist into a women's prison. If you think that sounds insane, just wait until you hear the details.
And also criminal deviant conduct, which the record doesn't disclose what that was exactly. Then, after serving in prison, Mr. McClain was released for parole, but then violated the terms of parole by having internet and was sent back to prison. 1 year after being released again, he was convicted of having child pornography. Is that correct?
I'm unclear on exactly the time frame that you're at, but the petitioner was convicted of distributing child pornography.
Child pornography that was images of adults violently raping children.
Abhorrent conduct.
Okay.
For which there are real victims.
And this individual, 6'2", biologically a man. A minute ago you said that when this man decided that he was a she, you said this individual was, quote, I wrote it down, sober and entirely a female. That phrase struck me as remarkable. Did this individual have male genitalia?
I think what I said, or at least what
that is a verbatim quote, entirely a female.
Sorry, what I meant to say was hormonally a female.
Okay, but that's not entirely. Did this individual have male genitalia?
Yes.
So you took a 6'2" serial rapist, serial child rapist with male genitalia, and he said, you know, I'd like to be in a women's prison. And your answer was, that sounds great to me. Let me ask you something. The other women in that prison, do they have any rights?
Is that a question you're
yes,
asking me?
The other women in that prison, do they have any rights?
Of course.
Do they have the right not to have a 6'2" man who is a repeat serial rapist put in as their cellmate?
Senator Cruz, I considered the facts presented to me, and I reached a decision based on what the law is.
I asked you a question. Do they have a right not to have a 6'2" man who is a serial rapist put in as their cellmate? Do those women have a right to that?
Every person who's incarcerated has the right to be safe in their space.
But you didn't think so. You didn't think so. And in fact, I'm going to give some quotes from your order because Senator Kennedy is right. This is not a judge's order. This is a political activist. By the way, the beginning of your order says, at birth, people are typically assigned a gender. I got to say that would astonish a lot of Americans. A lot of Americans think you go to the hospital, a baby is born, and congratulations, you have a little boy, a little girl. The assigned a gender, I know you went to Brown, but it sounds like it's in a college faculty lounge with no bearing on reality. The Bureau of Prison argued what I'm saying right now, that if you put this person in a female prison, there will be a risk of sexual assault to the women. And you know what you did? You said you didn't care about the women. I'm going to quote what you wrote. You wrote, quote, the Bureau of Prisons claim penological interest in protecting female prisoners from sexual violence and trauma. This interest is legitimate, that's kind of you to say, but there are no signs that petitioner is at risk of reoffending. The record is devoid of evidence of incidents of violence or assault during petitioner's incarceration when she was the perpetrator, only the victim. A theoretical risk of sexual assault by the prisoner without more cannot support the BOP's position. No evidence, theoretical. Have you dealt, in what universe is someone who is a serial repeat child rapist not at a risk of reoffending?
Senator, as I do in every case.
Okay, I know you've been told to repeat the line, I follow the law. I asked a question. In what universe is someone who is a serial repeat child rapist not at risk of reoffending?
Sir, I looked at the facts that were before me in this case. All of the evidence, including the statements of every warden who had supervised this petitioner.
You also wrote, the BOP also posits that permitting petitioner to live among women will be traumatizing and possibly dangerous to them. This concern is overblown. I have to say, if I were the father of one of those women, and you decided that my daughter's cellmate was going to be a 6'2" man who over and over and over again committed violent sexual assault, I would say the entire justice system is absurd, and it is clear on your record your political ideology matters a heck of a lot more than the rights of those women that you endangered. I think you're a radical, and I think you have no business being a judge.
Let's set the stage. Judge Netburn was questioned by Senator Cruz about a case where she ordered a transgender inmate, born male, transitioned to female, who pled guilty to raping a 9-year-old boy and a 17-year-old girl, to be transferred from a men's to a women's prison. Not only that, but this individual was also busted for distributing some of the sickest child pornography you can imagine. Adults violently raping children. And what did Judge Netburn do? She said, "Let's put this person, this predator, into a women's prison." Patriots, you can't make this stuff up. Let's talk about the facts. This wasn't just any criminal. This was a serial child rapist. This person violated parole, went right back to prison, and when released again, reoffended with child pornography. And Judge Netburn, when pressed, admitted this individual still had male genitalia. Yet when this criminal said, "I identify as a woman," Judge Netburn agreed to move them in with female inmates, women who have to serve their time and should expect to be safe from predators. Senator Cruz, God bless him, asked the question every sane American is thinking. Do the women in that prison have any rights? Do they have the right not to share a cell with a 6'2" man who has a proven history of sexual assault against children and women? Judge Netburn dodged and danced, as you'd expect from a Biden appointee. She claimed, everyone has the right to be safe. But she didn't answer Cruz's question. She didn't say those women have the right to not be locked in with a biological male predator. That should tell you everything you need to know about where her priorities lie. And get this, Cruz read directly from her own order. The Bureau of Prisons warned that putting this person in a women's prison would risk sexual assault. Netburn called those concerns overblown. She said the risk was theoretical. Patriots, what planet is she living on? In what universe is a serial child rapist suddenly not a risk to women just because they say they're a woman? And let's be clear, Judge Netburn tried to justify her decision by saying, well, the inmate had engaged in no violence while in custody. First off, that's not a pass for a serial child rapist. And second, she admits all 3 wardens asked for the transfer, not because it was safe, but because of serious medical needs. So now, the medical needs of a violent criminal outweigh the safety and dignity of every woman in that prison? Unbelievable. Then she says the only reason the Transgender Executive Council denied the transfer was to keep hormone levels stable, not because of violence. That's the kind of bureaucratic nonsense that makes normal Americans lose faith in the justice system. The people in charge are more worried about their woke checklists than real-world consequences. I want to be crystal clear. This is not about hate. This is about reality. This is about safety. This is about the rights of women and girls who have already been failed by the system enough times. If the government can force women to share cells with violent men who just say they're women, nothing is sacred anymore. So I'm calling on every patriot watching. Stand up and say no to this insanity. Demand that our leaders protect the rights of women. Demand that judges and bureaucrats put safety and common sense first, not woke activism. If you agree that women's safety should come before political correctness, hit that like button share this video, and leave your comments down below. And don't forget to subscribe for more real talk, more truth, and more defense of American values. God bless you, God bless our daughters and sisters, and God bless the United States of America.